An Accra Circuit Court grants bail to 27-year-old and his colleague who confessed kidnapping and who were told kidnapped a 9-year-old boy from the Lighthouse Chapel International at North Kanishi in Accra. The Accra Regional Police Commander, Christian Yehonu, has expressed shock at the decision. Now, he says that the police will consistently lose criminal cases of this nature if it continues. Now, today we're zooming in on how prosecutors can get their cases responded to positively. This is today's big story. My name is Bright Nanafu. Thanks so much for staying there. Now let's get into the details. The Accra Regional Police Command has expressed shock that a 27-year-old self-confessed kidnapper has been granted bail by an Accra Circuit Court and has vowed to appeal the decision. The court granted bail to the accused, Ernest Abuchi, a self-styled pastor who was in the dock for kidnapping a 9-year-old boy from the Lighthouse Chapel International here in Accra. Abuchi is reported bail to the accused, Ernest Abuchi, a self-styled pastor who was in the dock for kidnapping a 9-year-old boy from the Lighthouse Chapel International here in Accra. Abuchi is reported to have admitted to kidnapping the child and 3 others on separate occasions. He told the court he did not know the consequences of his act. The court, presided over by Ms. Ellen V. Amwa, entered a plea of not guilty for the accused and his accomplice, Isaac Intie, and remanded them in police custody when the case was heard for the first time. However, on January 7, 2014, when the case was called for the second time, the court granted bail to the 2 persons who were facing conspiracy and kidnapping charges. The Accra Regional Police Commander, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Christian Yehonu, said the police were not happy about the decision of the court. He recalled that there was panic in Accra when these kidnappings started, and then after the kidnappings had occurred for 4 consecutive times, the police finally arrested the kidnappers and key suspect and his accomplice. He continued, the first accused, Abuchi, had confessed to the police and openly admitted before the court that he committed the offense without knowing the repercussions. So why should he be granted bail? That's according to the Accra Regional Police Commander. Mr. Yehonu explained that the offense was a second-degree felony which did not warrant a bail. Again, he was of the view that the accused person should not have been granted a court bail as the prosecutor protested it. Now it appears the police consistently is losing the battle against convicted criminals. Just last week, a 60-year-old foreman defiled a 4-year-old girl and he was fined only 2,000 cedis and asked to go home. District Commander of Dodowa, Superintendent Kwesi Fori, expressed shock at the judgment passed by a Tema Circuit Court, even though he maintains the prosecutors presented a strong case. Let's play back what he said.
Could it be that the prosecutors could not really present a strong case?
Oh, the prosecution presented a strong case. In spite of the grandmoms, even absent and even voting away with the little one, the prosecution came out strongly. The man even pleaded guilty, before this honorable court. But as I said, the court in its wisdom decided, to fine him 2,000 Ghana cedis in default 36 months IHL. And for one to plead guilty, in court suggests or connotes that the prosecution was so strong, investigation so strong, that the man has no place, to hide except, to plead guilty. But as I said, we are not happy about it, but the court has spoken and will inform our authorities accordingly.
Okay. We hope that there will be some subsequent actions that could get some stricter punishment for this man.
We are seriously looking for the grandmom and others where, for their taking part in compounding crime. We will make sure that, we investigate their conduct and also bring them before the law court.
Okay, thank you.
If evidence is found that the accused person or the convicted person, played a part, the police will remap its strategy and put,
'Press' for that charges. Okay, thank you very much.
Gibson Apia spoke to the Dodowa Police Commander Superintendent Kwesi Fori about a week ago. But why is this happening? Let's try and get some legal explanations. And Samson Ayenini is a legal practitioner. He just joined this discussion. Samson, thanks so much for your time.
Hi.
Right. Samson, first of all, perhaps the layman will not understand why these things happen. A man confesses to a crime and he goes to court and the court says you are not guilty. To the layman, how do you explain this legally?
Well, first of all, it ought to be said that in our law, according to Article 19 of the 1992 Constitution, when a person is charged with a criminal offense, that person is supposed to be given a fair hearing, and that hearing has to be done within a reasonable time. It is important to note that according to the same law, that person who has been picked up by the police is supposed to be presumed as innocent until that person has pleaded guilty or he has he's been proved to be guilty, or that person has pleaded guilty. And then after they have done so, they are supposed to be given adequate time and facilities to be able to prepare their defenses to some of these situations that's happening. So that hasn't been said. You see, sometimes you may get a narration of a certain situation, but you go to find out the details and they are different. When you confess to a crime, there is a way we go about using your confession in court. If the confession is not done independently, and if there is no, for example, a third party who is brought in to sort of testify to that independent confession that is done willingly on the person's own volition, without any threat or without any promise that, or promise of any favor and so on and so forth, then there is a difficulty in admitting that particular confession statement in evidence in court.
Right.
So sometimes it could be the case that those who are using the confession statement in court,
right,
they did not follow the process for which is required to allow that statement to be admitted. So if you breach the process, for example, you make the person make the confession under duress, you make a promise of some favor to the person before they make the confession, or you don't bring in an independent third party to witness the process and all of that, then the confession will not be admitted. Then you are in trouble. That is what you may call a procedural flaw, or what you may commonly want to refer to as a technical, situation. But they are important. If they are not adhered to, a judge will not convict on the basis of that confession statement.
Right. The police, particularly for this last few weeks, is complaining about not getting perhaps what they call the sentences that they want. From where you sit and the explanation you have given, then we can conclude that perhaps the police has been going to court not with what a layman would say with the right things.
Because you see, if you get to the court and you don't submit cogent, impregnable, evidences before the court, the court will not favor you. The court is not supposed to do your work for you as a prosecutor. In a criminal case, the person who has been charged, the accused person, is not required to say anything. It's not required to do anything in their defense until, forgive me,
right,
and unless you have been able to establish a scintilla of evidence against them. So when they go to court, in fact, they are entitled to fold their arms, sit down, and watch the prosecution do their job. The prosecution has the onerous duty to prove the person guilty of the offense that they have charged the person of.
Right. Right.
The person who has been charged has no obligation to prove anything. So, in fact, if you take them to court and the prosecution does its case, and in the end, it is found that they have not been able to prove anything against, there is a reasonable doubt to what they have tried to prove. If there is a reasonable doubt, the person you have accused and put before court will be discharged, will be let to go, because there is a reasonable doubt. It is the job of the prosecution to prove beyond that doubt and make sure that that doubt is not left.
Right.
So it's not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing. Sometimes, hold the line.
And sometimes, admittedly, they do a shoddy job. And when they don't win, then they come complaining.
Right. Samson, hold the line for me. Let me try and speak to ASP Justice Nana Opon. He's Accra Regional CID Operations Officer. He just joined this discussion. Justice Opon, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Now, the concerns is that cases that prosecutors take to court cannot win them the cases.
Can you come up again?
I'm asking that the concerns being expressed is that prosecutors go to court not with cases that can win them favors.
But it's not that before we send cases to court, we have our legal team. The case is sent to the legal team, and they will study the docket and advise whether it should go to court or otherwise. And we have prosecutors, we have investigators, and we have officers who supervise cases. So before we go to court, we make sure that we have enough evidence before a person is arraigned before court.
So if the police themselves are complaining, the Accra Regional Police Commander is complaining, particularly he mentions the fact that some alleged kidnappers recently have been discharged by the police. Now, if the police is complaining, then are we safe?
Well, what happened was that, during the month of December 2013, we experienced kidnapping in Accra Metropolis. It happened on the 1st December. It happened on the 8th, which was Sunday. It happened on the 15th. Then 22nd, it happened again. But the police were able to arrest those who were involved. That was on the 22nd of December 2013.
Right, and then you went to court and...
Then on 23rd December 2013, we arraigned them before court, and the first accused person, Ernest Abochi, pleaded guilty. And after his explanation, the judge entered a plea of not guilty for him, which is normal. There's no problem about that.
Right.
Then they were remanded. The other accused person also pleaded not guilty. So they were remanded to reappear on the 7th of January 2014. Then on the 7th, the judge granted them based on Section 96 of the criminal procedure, that the charge was not unbearable offense, it's bearable offense, so he granted the accused person bail. But because he was having other cases, he was rearrested, and on the 8th, on the 9th, he was arraigned before court again on another charge. But I can assure the general public that we have enough evidence, and at the beginning of the trial, the police will be able to deduce evidence which the court will be convinced to go ahead and decide on the case. Our duty is to prosecute, not to persecute.
Right. Exactly. But the concerns here being raised is that several of these cases are going to court, and the prosecutors are losing the cases.
They do what?
They are losing the cases in court. The evidence that they take to court is not what perhaps can get a conviction.
The point is, we go to court, like I said, we go to court to prosecute, not to persecute. After having presented our case, it is up to the presiding judge to decide whether we have been able to, prove our case beyond any reasonable doubt against the accused person before he's called to open his defense.
Right.
And in this particular case, the public should bear in mind, or they should be assured that we are going to do our best. We have enough evidence, and we hope, and it's our prayer that we will win this case.
Right.
We are going to prove our case beyond any reasonable doubt in this particular case.
Right. Let me wrap up with Samson. I'll come back to now. Samson, you could see clearly that, like he said, they go there to prosecute and not to persecute. Does it suggest that perhaps they won't push to the limit to get conviction?
The prosecutor.
Hello, Samson.
They are supposed to prosecute and not to persecute. So he's saying the right thing. And he also noted to you, told you that they are supposed to prove their case beyond a certain they have a certain yardstick. The burden of proof in a criminal case is on them, and unless they have proved it, the accused has no duty or obligation to answer to anything. So they must always make sure that their investigation is tight, that they have sufficient enough evidence, and that's my point.
Right.
The question of bail, he referred you to the law, section 96, 7 of the criminal and other. I said section 96.7. I know very clearly,
right.
So I'm quoting with exactitude.
Okay.
The section 96 of the criminal procedure code. We normally would say criminal and other offenses procedure code provides that when a crime is not treason, it is not subversion, it is not hijacking, it is not murder, it is not escape from prison, it is not attempt to escape from prison, it is not defilement, it is not it is not extradition. Then it is a crime that is bailable. But if it falls under any of these, then it is non-bailable.
Right.
So the judge has a discretion to grant bail. Bail is not supposed to be used as a punishment. The law is very clear on that. So when people come and they can show that they have a place of abode to live, that they are not a flight risk, they will not run away from the country. And remember, I noted to you earlier that from the dictates of Article 19 of the Constitution, the first fundamental constitutional right that an accused person is supposed to enjoy is the right that that person is innocent until he is being found otherwise by a court of competent jurisdiction.
Right.
So they are supposed to be granted bail because they are not convicted or they have not been found to be guilty. Now, it is a job of the prosecution to prove their case, and then the people will be convicted. But if they don't prove their cases, they will not be convicted.
Right.
And I think where you may also have found curious is where you talk about someone who has pleaded guilty, and yet the court enters a plea of not guilty for the person.
Exactly.
It is very, very allowed. It is allowed, very normal and allowed by law. When the plea of guilty is a plea that is not clear enough, when it is a plea that is tainted with a certain qualification, the judge is enjoined by law to enter a plea of not guilty for the person so that they can defend themselves in the process and go through a full trial.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Something
it will be absurd and unheard of to hear that someone who has been charged of defilement is being granted bail on the first appearance in the court. That is an unbailable offense.
Right.
And that is why I am shocked that there are cases of people who have been charged for defilement and they appear before the court and we are told that they have been granted bail or they have been
on their first appearance
and let go. Those are very curious situations that need to be investigated further, particularly by the Attorney General's Department.
Right. Samson, thanks so much for speaking to me. Let me also wrap up with ASP Justice Nana Opoku, the Accra Region CID Operations Officer. And Mr. Opoku, briefly, let's wrap up on this. So you go ahead to the limit to get conviction. But when you face challenges, how do you go around it?
Hello?
Are you there?
Yeah, please. Come up again because
briefly,
your line is so
right.
Come up
briefly,
again.
Let's wrap up on this very particular issue. You have assured that the police will go to every limit to get conviction. But in instances where the public thinks that the police has failed, how do you handle it? We have a case in Dodowa. We have a case that we are talking about. How well should the public be made assured that you can fix this?
Well, in most cases, let me give an example. Like Kaneshi, you hear thief, then they will escort somebody to the charge office. Then after having gone to the charge office, the police have no option than to receive the person who is being pursued. Now, this person, they will receive the complaint, do everything, but when the person is put before court and the witnesses fail to appear, the court is bound to discharge the accused person. But in serious cases, we make sure that even if the witnesses have no money, we sponsor them to come and testify. Because it's the Republic versus that person. But in petty cases where something like fraud cases and other things, it is cases against a person. But a case against the state, the police have to go all out and even sponsor the witness to come and testify for a conviction to be gained. Right.
Justice Opon, I guess we'll have to leave it here. Thanks so much for speaking to me. ASP Justice Nana Opon is Accra Region CID Operations Officer. Let me go there, speak to Nana Yakwala. He is the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. He joined this discussion via Skype. Nana, thanks so much for staying there for us.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, the public seem to be losing the confidence in the police. Cases that look clear to the layman. Someone gets defiles a 4-year-old girl and is taken to court. A confession is made, and yet the person is free. The public seem to be losing confidence in the police service because the police service is losing cases in court. How do we deal with this?
Well, Bright, good evening to your viewers. To answer your question, I do not know the basis on which you will probably come to that conclusion that the public is losing confidence in the police because the police have lost, this case or have lost cases in the past. But definitely, I am sure that it is not an exciting news to the public because one of the key functions of the police is to get rid of our society deviants and criminals, and maintain social order and public peace. So certainly this is not good news to the public. Let me also say that the phenomenon of law enforcement agencies taking cases to courts and losing is really not a new thing. It happens in the US, it happens in the UK, it happens jurisdiction where their systems and processes have gone really far and they've really developed. It happens. Like something made us aware. Sometimes these cases may be dismissed on technical grounds. Seriously, that is what has been hurting our police in recent times. So it's certainly not a good news. We from the Bureau of Public Safety would definitely want to propose or suggest to the Ghana Police Service that indeed they take some of these issues seriously. They take them as case studies and probably form or organize a prosecutors forum, police prosecutors forum, where some of these cases are thoroughly studied to find out where the holes were punched in the court, where the defense counsels of those alleged criminals or alleged deviants, their defense lawyers punched holes, so that they build on their cases and they build on their prosecutions in future. But as far as we are concerned, this is not a new development, even though it's not desirable.
And would you fault the public for expressing that concern, or you think that perhaps it's the misunderstanding of the system that is bringing up such perception?
Well, I want to from two different angles. One, that the public will not be so excited about this news because from today, this person alleged has been bailed. He has not been cleared by the courts, which means he could perpetrate, if indeed he is in the business of doing that, he could perpetrate it again whilst he's on bail. Number two, the public are not happy because they also may not appreciate the full import of the law. If you look at the Criminal Code 1960, it even it defines kidnapping as a second-degree felony. And then it comes down to also define what they call child stealing, which is a misdemeanor. So if I were a lawyer for this 60-year-old man and I could use aspects or some of these things to defend him, I could move in and get a leaner sentence and get him back into society. So it's up to the police to actually build a strong case against people that they think are miscreants or deviants in society or people who are perpetrating criminal behavior. But if we bundle people and immediately without doing too much technical examination of a case, if you like, you might want to call it academic examination of a case, and we go to defense attorneys will always find ways and means to either get leaner charges or get their clients out of court, whichever way necessary. So it's up to the police to build what we call an airtight or watertight cases against the people that they send to court.
Thank you so much. We'll have to leave it here. Nana Yakwada, the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety, there talking to me on the big story. And this is wrapping up the first part of the show. We'll get interactive in the second part. And, of course, you are the reason why we'll be getting interactive. So stay there. When I come back, Gladys will join me and we'll get interactive from then. Thanks so much for staying there. Welcome to the second segment of the big story, and we're getting interactive with you, and that's where we give you the opportunity to get onto our social media platform and stay with us on the issues we'll be talking about. And Gladys is already here in the studio. Welcome, Gladys.
Thank you,
it's a Wednesday, a midweek, and what's trending today?
It's still on this homosexuality, and TB Joshua has spoken. interestingly, it will be interesting to find out what he actually has been saying about it and how people are reacting to what he has said.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nana. So it is that time when we get interactive with you and tell you about what is trending on social media, and you also get a chance to tell us what you think exactly on social media. My name is Gladys Osei. This is JN Interactive. You can join in this conversation via social media platforms. You could join us on facebook.com/joynnewsontv, or you can also join us through Twitter at twitter.com/joynnewsontv. The handle is at joynnewsontv or #JNInteractiveGH. You could also drop us email through joynewsim@multitvworld.com. So keep your comments coming through, and we will be sharing it right here on JN Interactive, right here on Joy News on Multi TV. So let's just go straight to business today. It appears the issue of homosexuality and its accompanying issues will not end anytime soon. Just yesterday, after President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, passed a law warning persons in such acts to desist or face jail term, a few people have come up to express their opinions on the president's decision. Well, one of such is renowned preacher T.B. Joshua. Renowned Nigerian pastor T.B. Joshua says gays and lesbians should not be judged. Answering a question on his official Facebook page about what he made of homosexuality, Joshua said, I'm talking about T.B. Joshua, said, "Judge not so that you will not be judged." And he quoted Matthew 7:1. You could grab your Bible quickly and check on that one. According to him, we shouldn't talk to people to be saved and not to die. We should talk salvation, not condemnation. The Bible is my standard, and that's according to T.B. Joshua. His comments come on the heels of his country's president's recent assent to a new legislation that bans same-sex marriages, gay groups, and shows of same-sex public affection. The law, signed by Goodluck Jonathan without any announcement, prescribes up to 14 years in prison sentence for same-sex couples who breached the law. Now, this has generated several arguments on social media today. So for those who spoke to our cameras, this is what they had to say.
Actually, his comment shows that there are two things that I actually think about his comment. One is either he's part of them, and the second one is that it's either he's just implying the white people's sense of humor, that each and every person should be left to do whatever he likes without using the knowledge of religion. Though we the Africans are into the religious affairs. And as for me, I may say that this T.B. Joshua's comment is not to be accepted at all.
Okay, for me, according to what T.B. Joshua has said, I didn't support it. Because by looking at the act, both lesbianism and gay, man having an affair with his colleague man, or a woman having an affair with her colleague lady, I don't support that idea. And even if you look at Islam as a religion, a whole a generation was severely punished because of gay. That was the time of Prophet Yusuf. You see, those days, people engage in this act. A man having an affair with his colleague man. And God turned the world upside down. So I don't support that idea.
Well, in the first place, I'm disappointed in one way or the other, and others too have to be going to be biblical aspect of it. Because when we see Sodom and Gomorrah, the same acts that they did over there, how God destroyed them. So as a man of God, you know the Bible in and out. Anyway, you can say that we should not judge, but the act, what they are doing, is the act against God. It's against humanity. All right? Yeah. If a man married a man, what will be the outcome? If a woman married a woman, what will be the outcome? But if a man married a woman, the outcome will be a product of me and you talking to you and me. Exactly. All right? So why should a pastor say that, well, we shouldn't judge? No, we cannot judge, but we can tell them what they are doing is right or wrong.
It's very bad because the Bible has made it clear that lesbian and homosexuality are very abomination to the scriptures. Even God himself, if he one who has been the creator of God in the universe, as Genesis chapter 1 make it clear, that God created us as his own image, and another image is trying to disagree with God's comments, which I don't know where about that pastor is from. So we have to be clear with nowadays pastor and just go inside of TV Joshua, where it's coming from, whatever spirit that is governing TV Joshua. We can see that there's something wrong somewhere else.
What TV Joshua is saying is against even the Christian doctrine, because we are not judges. We are not here to judge people when they do something in hiding, but when they do something openly. So when somebody kills his fellow brother, we shouldn't judge him. When somebody steals, we shouldn't judge him. It's even against human nature. Let's put religion apart. It's against human nature. When you see a male dog going to somebody's going to a female dog, so it's against human nature. So anything that comes from the West, we take it for granted. Let's put religion apart. It's against human nature, and it's against our African culture. So we are not here to judge people when they do something in hiding. But when they do something open, we have to judge them.
Frankly, judgment is for the Lord. But the Bible also says that same-sex people shouldn't engage in what? Sexual intercourse. So if the president of Nigeria came out with the view that nobody should, I think he's also trying to fulfill what the Bible says. But TV Joshua may be saying it in the view that no human being should pass judgment on the colleague human being.
It depends on to me, homosexuality is not our position in Africa. All these things are being brought by whites. They are the ones that introduce these things to us. And to me, they should be jailed.
Interesting comments there. Well, let me read some of your WhatsApp comments, after which we will get onto the phone lines to speak with the Christian Council of Ghana and get their stance on this issue. It's very important. So let's quickly look at your WhatsApp comments. Karim says, TB Joshua, may you live long. Okay, so that's coming from Karim Dalo. Dan Adolfo says, we are to hate the act, not their personalities. That's quite standard. So it's actually the act that must be hated. Divine says, TB Joshua is just like King Solomon. He said it all. I see. Well, that's coming from Divine. Let's take the next one. George says, more grace, emoji. Karim says, God, you are our only savior. Okay, so that's Karim again. Emmanuel says, more knowledge. Okay, that's coming from you. General says, he's speaking the truth. General Elvis. Okay. K says, let us not judge. Yeah, okay. So that's from K. Jeremy says, yeah, I support the prophet because judgment is the Lord's. That's coming from Elikblame Jeremy. Justice says, not taking sides, but judging in general is not good, but it shouldn't be allowed in any country. It's very evil. God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. That's coming from Justice Yebwa. All right, so let me quickly speak with Reverend Dr. Opunifrim Pon. Like I said, we're talking to somebody from the Christian Council. He is the General Secretary of Christian Council of Ghana. And hello, Reverend. Hello, Reverend Opuni. But we seem to have lost Reverend there. But we'll be trying very much to get back to Reverend and, seek a stance on what the Christian Council really think of the homosexuality, especially Ghana. We really need to know our stance on it. All right, so We still have more comments coming from the general public. We actually asked you if you think gays can be changed. Can they stop the act and become normal human beings? Let's hear what you had to say.
Yeah, they can be changed. By continuously telling them the disadvantages, they can be changed. Everybody can be changed. If only you want to change, you can be changed.
Yeah, it can be.
But the point is that change, they can be changed. There's a lot of them. Times hearing certain things from the Bible actually can let them change. It's not force. You can never force them, because what I can see is that it's not actually their own. They're being lured into it, right? So maybe based on teachings and then counsel, then they come out. But you can't force them, let them to come out. That's the whole thing. That's the problem you have. You have to understand who is it, what he's doing, understand the whole thing before you can just talk to him that, look, when you do A, B, C, this will be the results.
Really, you can be changed. When you follow the scripture, you can be changed. We all were not Christians. I, per se, as I'm talking to you here, I'm somebody who have traveled for a lot. And I could say I used to have friends outside the country. But at the time I had Jesus Christ with me, I've changed my character. I no more go to London or go to US or go to Germany that I'm looking for my girlfriend. I only have a partner. And the partner that God has commanded, that nobody should touch what he has made. And that is what I'm seeing. So if I have been able to change, somebody even who chased me, it's like more or less like those people who are in homosexuality. But as I've changed, one can change.
It cannot be changed because it's a sin just like other sins like stealing, cheating and so on. But when it is done openly, we have to do something on it. Because we are human beings, we shouldn't live like animals.
Well, they can be changed. The power of God can change anything.
Well, I don't really know. But I don't think they can be changed. I don't really think they can be changed.
All right, so some believe gays can be changed and be brought back to normal. But let me quickly cross over to the newsroom and speak through Skype with my colleague Solomon Jojo Kobna, who will be telling us his stance. And he actually has to be very straight with us here. Hi, Jojo.
Hello?
Can you hear me now? Is it clear now? Hello, Jojo.
Hello.
We seem to have some difficulty there with Jojo's sound, so we'll be working on that one. But in the meantime, let me quickly take some more WhatsApp comments for you, and let's see what more you have been putting on. Do we have Jojo back online? Hello, Jojo. Okay, let me just catch a breath here, and then let me just catch my breath here. And when we come back, I am sure we'll be talking to Jojo right here on JN Interactive. Stay with us. All right, so we have Jojo back online on Skype with us to talk about whether he thinks that gays should be jailed for practicing their acts. Hello, Jojo. Hello, Jojo.
Hello, Gladys. I can hear you now.
All right, so be straight with me. Do you think gays should be jailed for practicing their acts?
No, I can't hear you. Can you ask the question again?
I am asking if you think that gays should be jailed for practicing the act. You still cannot hear me, Jojo?
I can't hear you.
Wow. Let me try again for the last time and see. I am asking you, do you think gays should be jailed for their practicing of the gay act?
Okay, Gladys, the issue of homosexuality shouldn't even happen at all. Talking about jailing homosexuals, because how will you jail homosexuals? That is when you find them in the act. when we have people in their rooms doing whatever they are doing, why would you go into their rooms to sort of arrest them? It's an issue of privacy. So this whole issue about jailing them in Nigeria passing that law, it is very funny because when you go into their rooms to arrest them, it's against their privacy. It's a very funny issue. And when we talk about homosexuality, what we do is that we read religious lines and meanings into it, and we say, oh, well, Ghana is a Christian nation. But excuse me, in the Constitution, Ghana is not a religious country. It is a secular country. And then we have, clauses in our Constitution that talks about equality, that talks about non-discrimination, and the right to respect of people's privacy. So, I mean, this whole homosexuality issue is very funny to me.
Jojo, are you a gay? Hello, Jojo.
Hello, Gladys, I can hear you.
Are you a gay?
What did you say?
I am asking you, are you a gay yourself?
No, I'm not gay. But the reason why I'm taking this particular point is that gays are human beings. Gays are human beings, just like, why should we kill them? Why should we jail them when they are just being themselves? Where is this stated? Our Constitution has never stated that being a gay is a crime. I mean, because the Constitution guarantees equality. The Constitution says that we shouldn't discriminate against them. Our Constitution says that people have the right to privacy. And so it is only our penal code that talks about unnatural carnal knowledge. But I mean, that whole prohibition is quite strange. So I'm not gay, but I mean, I don't know why we should judge them. I agree with TB Joshua saying that who are we to judge them?
So you think that in the near future, Ghana should make its stance clear and be here or there? Where do you think Ghana should be?
No, I mean, it should just be just as it is. I'm not saying that Ghana should make a very strong point. I mean, before people start saying that I'm a gay rights advocate, but I'm just talking as a human being. We're all human beings. Why should we judge people for their sexual orientation? Are you saying that when you go to the hospital and then they tell you that the doctor is gay, you say that you don't want that doctor to treat you?
Are you asking me? I keep my answer to myself, Jojo. All right, Jojo, thank you so much for talking to us. We have been interacting with my colleague, Jojo Kobna, who has been telling us what he thinks should be done to gays. He believes they should not be judged, so he agrees perfectly with TB Joshua. So that's coming from Jojo Kobna, right? Let's just hear let's hear a bit more from the general public. Okay, so I think we have Reverend Opunifrempong online. He is the General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. Hello, Reverend.
Hello, good evening, my sisters, and good evening to your cherished listeners.
Thanks, Reverend, for joining us. What is the position of the Christian Council on homosexuality, and what do you make of Nigeria's position on it?
Yeah, for us in the Christian Council of Ghana, same-sex marriages and homosexuality, as you said, is unbiblical, un-Christian, un-African, and if you like, un-Ghanaian. For us, homosexuality or same-sex marriages is a threat as far as our survival as people is concerned. However, people who think they have such orientation must be loved, must be respected, but they themselves must also accept that they need help and call for help and accept help, because we can't live our life like that. We want to congratulate our friends in Nigeria for openly making their position on the subject very clear as far as their laws are concerned. So for now, that is what I want to say.
So do you think they should be jailed like Nigeria is insisting?
Let me say, at the moment, we in this country may need to make our position very clear before we can even go into some of the specifics. Now, our former president, may he rest in peace, President Atamil, once publicly said that he will never accept any support, any donation, foreign support that come with conditions that have anything to do with homosexuality. Now, if that statement is anything to go by, either it was a personal position or the position of the government. Now, if it was the position of the government, somebody must help us that this is the official position of the government. And therefore, we move to the next step of factoring that into our law. If that was a personal position of the late president, then we must know that where do we go as a country as far as that issue is concerned. It seems to me when we answer the question about our position as a nation, then the details as to what do we do we imprison, do we do that, will come in. But if we don't answer the first question, we may be jumping the gun by even going to other things. So for now, I would say somebody must answer the question. What the late President Professor Atamil said, was he just reflecting a personal sentiment, or was he reflecting the position of the government? And if we're able to answer that question, then we will move to maybe the legal framework as far as that issue is concerned, my sister.
You think that, do you agree with TB Joshua when he says we should not pass such a law, we should rather love them and not judge them?
For some reason, I may not want to discuss my brother TB Joshua in public. But for us in Christian Council of Ghana, what I'm trying to say, I want to discuss Christian Council of Ghana position on the issue you have raised. That we should love them, yes. That all men and women must come to the saving grace of God, yes. But we must also know that even though, yes, human rights, we must also push for human dignity. There are some rights. I mean, for instance, if we wake up in the morning and all armed robbers decide that we also have right to fairness, justice, that is my genes, it was in my genes, so they take guns and kill all of us. What do you do in the name of human rights? So yes, we should love them. The act must be condemned. It is not the best for us. Whether you call it judgment or not, it will not help our survivor. It's a threat to our survivor. But for us in Christian Council, we are not living in jungle. We should not throw stones. We should not kill people. We should not eject them from their homes. That is not the position. The love, the compassion must be given. But we must let everybody know, like armed robbery, like prostitution, that this is a threat to our survivor. It is not good for our lives, and it has something, it takes a lot from our human dignity.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Opunifrimpon. He is the General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, and he has been sharing his thoughts on homosexuality. Let's quickly look at what you have been posting on our Facebook page. So, renowned Nigerian pastor TB Joshua says gays and lesbians should not be judged, answering a question on his official Facebook page about what he made of homosexuality. Joshua said, "Judge not, so that you will not be judged." And he quoted Matthew 7, chapter 1. Matthew, chapter 7, verse 1, actually. According to him, we should talk to people to be saved and not to die. I mean, we should talk salvation, not condemnation. That's what we posted. And let me quickly just pick a few interesting ones and see. Okay, so this is a long one. Forgive me if I can't read that. All right, so let's see. Simon says, "What is wrong with God's people of late? We make pastors of late feel like they ate with God even before coming to you." Let me ask a simple question. Why did God not create another Adam but created Eve? Why Osogbo Lisa didn't command Adam to fill the earth until Eve. Well, why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Is it not because of the stupid life? He also wanted to support Pope. Well, so you go on and on and on and on. In short, you are just not happy with what. So I know a witch that delivers small ones. Okay, right. So let's take this from Wisdom. He says, and don't forget that every place in this world is governed by rule and regulation, even heaven, my people. All right. So Ursula says, what can they achieve by such doing? Humans, even ignorant than the animals. Okay, so let me just take my last one. This one says, ANCP, but I think Prophet Temptito is right. What do you mean by, well, people have very interesting ways of describing. Well, so we are so grateful for your contribution to be part of this interaction. Keep them coming through. We'll find other avenues, obviously, to post them and discuss them. So the discussion doesn't end here. It continues. Thanks so much.
My name is Bright.
My name is Gladys Osei. Thanks so much for your time.